it's Ran and welcome back to my channel. Today I am not doing a contortion related video because there is a big mess. By big mess I mean a whole bunch of boxes in my room, so I can't really film anything that's like taking space. So instead today I thought we'd just have a little chat. So the one that I decided on was school, because why not? So for those of you who don't know, I actually used to live in France. I was born in England and lived there till I was 7, then I moved to France and lived there aged 7 to 14, and then this summer I moved back to the UK, to Northern Ireland. So I thought that I would make a video where I would just like talk about and compare French schools to Northern Irish schools. So this is specifically secondary schools, and of course this is me comparing the schools I've been to and my experiences in my schools. This does not go for all Northern Irish schools, nor does it go for all French schools, just because I can't talk about all schools, I can only talk about what I've experienced. So, let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the length of days and periods. So, in France, I had my day started at about 8 and it didn't finish until 4:40. Whereas here in Northern Ireland, I start 9:15 and I finish, depending on the day, I either finish at 3:30, 3 or 2:30. The days are significantly shorter. In France, on Wednesdays, I'd have half days, so I'd finish at 12:30 around about. So the days were a lot longer in France, but the reason for that is because in France, it's the country in Europe with the most holidays, so bank holidays and longest, like I had 3 months for summer holidays, whereas here it's only 2 months. There is also the difference between period lengths. So my school had 55 minutes, so we have 55 minutes lessons, 5 minutes intercours, which was like the time between lessons where you go, where one teacher leaves, the next teacher arrives, or you go to another class. And a double period was then 2 hours. One thing I do find very interesting is that here in Northern Ireland, periods are a lot shorter. They aren't always the same length, somewhere between half an hour and 40 minutes. I do sometimes have 3 of the same subject in a day, not necessarily consecutive. On Wednesdays I have personal learning, something else, personal learning, something else for 2 periods, then PL again. I never had that in France. If you had a double period, they were consecutive and you didn't have it again in the day. Another thing I find interesting is lunch breaks, because in my old school in France, I had 1 break in the morning, which was 15 minutes, 1 break in the afternoon, which was 10 minutes, and then you had lunch break. Now lunch break, you always finished lunch and went back to lessons at 1:40, but you would come out at different times depending on the day and your classes. So you could either come out at 20 past 11, 20 past 12, or 1:45. So sometimes you would have extremely long lunch breaks, like 11:20 to 1:40, like that's a lot. You'd also be outside for lunch, so if it was raining, you were sort of in trouble. Whereas here, you have half an hour for lunch and you either have it 1 period, the next period, or the next period. So basically it's just, you'd have a period like a lesson, that is your lunch period. So that's interesting. You also only have 1 break in the morning, which I think is about 10-15 minutes, and then no break in the afternoon, which is understandable because the afternoons are very short. I have between 3 and 1 lesson in an afternoon. So another interesting thing about lunch is that here in the UK, you either bring a packed lunch or you eat in the canteen. In France, you either ate in the canteen or you went home for lunch. Like, you'd either walk home if you lived near the school, or your parents would come and pick you up. They'd bring you home, you'd eat lunch, and then you'd be brought back to school. You weren't allowed to bring a packed lunch. So that is also a big difference. That's probably why they had much longer lunch breaks. It's because otherwise people wouldn't have time to get home, go and then eat lunch, and then come back to school. Number 2, Subject choices and exams. So, in my school back in France, you had choices when it came to school subjects, which were like, your first year of secondary school, you either would choose between German or Spanish. I personally started German when I was in first year, simply because most of my family's German. Spanish was very popular. There were 2 German classes in the year, so people decided first year, people decided second year, and then you had the Spanish classes where you had 2 for first year, 2 for second year, because Spanish was a lot more popular than German. Then when you were in second year, you could either choose to do or not to do Latin. Then in third year, you were able to choose Euro or not Euro. So Euro was additional English. Obviously it was foreign language English because it was in France. We did more cultural stuff in Euro class, and then with the Euro option you did sports class in English. So instead of doing a sports class where you just talked in French normally, you would do it talking in English, mostly. I found that very difficult. I did Latin and Euro, but I found Euro sports class very difficult because I'd try to talk in English, but no one would understand me because they all spoke French. So I'd talk in French, and then my teacher would tell me off talking French and not English. So that was fun. Then there were also a whole bunch of sports options, so you could choose or not to do these sports options. I didn't do any sports options. I know they had a football option, a VTT option, which stands for vélo tout terrain, so basically just mountain biking. Our school was like the best one in the whole department for VTT. We also had a triathlon option. I had 2 friends who did it, and it was extreme. Whereas over here, the subject choices, you don't actually get to choose any subjects until you are in third year, when at the end of third year you choose your GCSE subjects. But talking about GCSEs, when it comes to exams, in France, you choose all these subjects earlier, but your exam subjects, everyone does the same. So Latin is not an exam subject, neither is Euro or like German or Spanish, and neither are sports options. All those subjects that you got to choose, none of them are exams. So you do get extra points on your exams, like bonus points, but you don't do an exam or anything for that. When it comes to German and Spanish, it is continuous evaluation, so the teacher marks you based on tests you've done throughout the year and on the work you've done in class, and that is what gives you your mark for LV2. LV2 being Langue Vivante 2, second language. Second foreign language, sorry. The subjects that you do for exams, your exam being the brevet at the end of 4th year. History, you do French being like French first language, grammar, literature, that sort of thing. The equivalent of English over in Anglophone countries. Then you also do 2 sciences, which are determined, they change each year, so it's either technology, physics and chemistry, or biology, 2 out of 3. And then you also have an oral, which is worth 100 points out of 800, though with COVID, the past 2 years, it has been cancelled. Whereas in the UK, GCSEs, you choose a certain number of subjects, depending on your level and your school. In my school, you choose between 2 and 4 subjects, and then you've got obligatory subjects. I'm in the top bracket, so I do 4 subjects. So my 4 choices were business studies, drama, single word science, and history. There are a lot of different choices that you can do. Then you also have so you have a whole bunch of different subjects there, and then you also have the obligatory subjects. So in my school, the obligatory subjects, they vary between schools, but my school does English, computer science, personal learning, maths, and I think that's it. And then you can also be put into English literature, which is basically just 1 more period of English each week, but then you get 2 GCSEs out of it instead of just 1 if you're in English language. Then you also have the equivalents, the upper level equivalents, which are A-levels and baccalaureate. So personally, I like both systems. They're very different. And by very different, I mean absolutely and completely, extremely different. So they are quite hard to compare. My sister's taking it, she quite likes it. And I'm taking my GCSEs now. I like the way that that's set up, the way you get to choose your own subjects for some of them, but then there are some you have to do. I personally didn't get much information or much help when I was choosing my subjects, simply because I still lived in France at the time, so I chose them based on what was written about them on the websites, which wasn't necessarily up to date. I like both education systems when it comes to exams and subject choices. The next thing we're going to be talking about is primary language classes. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about the class for your first language. So in France, that's French. In the UK, it's English. So in France, French class includes French literature and grammar and conjugation. So I had about 5 or 6 hours last year, I think, per week, I mean. And in class, we'd work both on the literature side of things and the grammar and conjugation type of things, which I liked that you got to do both of them. It means, because I was strong when it came to conjugation and grammar, not that my spelling was good, and then other people were very strong when it came to French literature. I personally, last year my teacher wasn't the most productive, but the year before that I had a very productive teacher and it went very well. You can get a lot done. Conjugation is a very big thing in France, and so is grammar. I spent so long learning classe grammaticale, fonction grammaticale, conjugation in 101 different modes and tenses. But in the UK you don't have that. So a girl in my class, no shame on her, said, "What's conjugation?" when I was talking about that, because I have a thing when somebody misconjugates a verb, because they cram this into us in foreign language English as well, like conjugation of irregular verbs. Oh my god, misconjugation is so annoying. And I commented on this, and she just asks, "What's conjugation?" And I genuinely laugh, and I felt so bad about it afterwards. But for me, that was like, how do you not know what it is? And it turns out, in the UK, they don't teach conjugation. I did not know that. In the UK, your primary language class is English, and for GCSEs, you either get put into English language class or English literature. And I can talk about both, because I have been in both. I was originally put into English language, which is the lower tier one. You only get 1 GCSE out of it, and you have 1 less hour a week. The people who are in English language do a period of RE each week, whereas the people who are in English literature do just an extra period of English literature a week. And I was very happy to get out of RE, but I got moved because my teacher thought I was participating a lot and she thought I was really good at what we were doing. So she talked to Mrs. Green, who is like the head of something. I think she's our head of year. If I got that wrong, people are going to laugh at me. Anyway, she talked to Mrs. Green and I got moved into an English literature class. And that class may or may not be insane, but I really like it. And in the English literature class, you study a book we're doing of Mice and Men, for your English language essay, which I did about a few weeks ago, for the English language essay, you write it on that book, whereas the people in English language, for their English language essay, they wrote it on 2 poems, Havisham and another one. I don't know what the other one is. They didn't do that until after I got moved. So I think that is interesting. I think it works well, cause separating out the people who are better at it and the worst, the people who aren't as good at it, simply because that means that people can progress more. That is the big thing. Over here, I forgot to mention that in choices and stuff, but over here, you have different classes, like form classes, based on your ability. In France, everyone was mixed together. I think that it works well, separating them out. That way you're not holding people back from doing an extra GCSE when they can, but you're also not dragging people along who won't do as well and who need to spend more time just on one. You also don't do grammar in English class. Like, no grammar. Most of the time what you do is we work on English literature and we write essays and we're invited to an oral presentation, stuff like that. But it really is very different. Not just because it's French and English, but like the set out of language classes, just so different. Next up, extracurriculars. So, for extracurriculars, this is where they really just completely different. In my old school in France, extracurriculars were at lunchtime. There was no after school anything. Here in the UK, all extracurriculars are after school except like 1 or 2. I don't know of any for my school. This does make sense because, like I said earlier, in France we had much longer lunch breaks, whereas here we finished school a lot earlier. So it is logical. In my school back in France, we did like 2 of the main lunchtime clubs were ping pong and badminton. I didn't do either. I hated ping pong. Badminton I would have liked to do, but it never really worked with my timetables. Another thing, other extracurriculars included choir, though that depended on the year. When I was in first year, there wasn't a choir. When I was in second year, there was a choir and it was run by the best music teacher ever. He was really fun. I was in the choir. I was a soloist for 2 songs. We were supposed to be doing a performance, but then COVID, so no performance. But like, one of the best days of my life was the soloist rehearsal, where I sat around for hours and hours listening to everyone else rehearse, and when it finally was my time, it was like time pressure because there was little time. I was one of the few people who actually knew what they were supposed to be doing, and there was actual musicians, like actual backing musicians, and it was just, the whole world fades away and it's just about you, and it's all focused around you. You've got these people playing music right next to you. It's so loud, so wonderful. It's just perfect. In case you can't tell, I like being the centre of attention and I like performing, so that was absolutely incredible. Would have been even more incredible if we'd actually been able to do the performance, but anyway, then the year after that music teacher left the school. Seriously, my school was cursed. The whole time, I was there for 3 years, I had 3 different music teachers, not because I changed music teachers each time, because there was one music teacher who was always there. He retired last year. And then there was, every year, a new secondary music teacher, like not head of department, second one. In 3 years, 3 of them. And there was a different one the year before that, and another one the year before that, because I know that because my sister was there 2 years before me, and she had 2 different ones. So, yeah, they seriously were cursed. It's like the dark arts or whatever it is in Harry Potter. So there was choir as another one. There was also Eco Club, which was, I never was a part of it. With my old school, it very much was a matter of, do you know the right people? Because though some of them were like advertised generally, like the choir was extremely popular when I did it in second year, and he talked about it with everyone. Even then, my sister, who had the other music teacher, didn't hear about it and didn't get a chance to join. According to one of my friends, there was like a dance club when we were in first year. I never heard a peep about it. Yeah, you really just... There were plenty of other clubs. There was the Club Manga, which is like a manga club. Manga, like those Japanese comics, I think. Anyway, that was very popular. I never liked them. I never joined, and I never heard about it until like right at the end of last year. So... yeah, you had to know the right people to get the extracurriculars in France. Whereas here in the UK, you still have to know the right people. So my English teacher runs a debate club with my best friend's English teacher, and I came. He's new this year, just like me, and he was talking about it, and I came every single time, and for like 2 months or something like that, nobody came. One time, a year 10 came, a second year came, and she never came back. He moved the year 10's debate club to lunchtime. They've got 14 members. We, after all of our hard work to recruit, have 3. One of whom I stole from drama club. Then you've also got other clubs. I was so excited at the start of the year because I read on the school website they had a trampolining club, a competitive trampolining club. Not anymore. They just didn't bother to upgrade the school website. I was very disappointed. They also have a competitive dance club. There's also a non-competitive dance club. Then on Wednesdays, same time as debate, you also have a drama club. You've also got netball, also on Wednesdays. Most clubs are on Wednesdays. Dance clubs on Mondays. I think there's something on Tuesdays as well. On Thursdays after school, if there's an exam coming up, then Double Awards have a revision club, Double Award Science. Yeah, that's pretty much it that I know of. There's also like a whole bunch of other clubs, but I just don't know the right people. So now we're on to the final section, and this one I'm just throwing in for fun. We're going to talk about lined paper. Yes, you heard me right. Lined paper. It's different. So I was going to get a piece of each, like British lined paper versus French lined paper, to show you. I didn't get them, so I'm just going to insert pictures. The reason that the French one is like that is because in France you learn to write with these lines. So squares are the spaces you leave between words, and the smaller lines are for different letters. You go up to different lines, and honestly, I like that better because that's what I'm used to. I mean, I'm fine with the British lines as well, which are just plain simple lines. Why overcomplicate things? But the French one is done like that because that's how they teach their kids to write, and that's how they learn it. Not that French people have good handwriting. If you think for a second that French teenagers have good handwriting, think again. My French teacher had a running joke that one of the boys in my class wrote in hieroglyphs, and he literally couldn't read what this kid was writing. But anyway, so that's the end of the video. That's all I have to say, and by it's all I've had to say, it's all I'm going to say because this video is already 14 minutes. Oh god. But if you enjoyed this video and you want to see another video where I compare French school to English school or British school, then let me know down below. I have plenty of other things to talk about, like uniform, how they treat new students, very different, about like jumping years, how they treat better students and lesser students, how they help people, all that fun stuff, and a lot more, like a lot more. I spent 7 years in France, I've got a lot to say. But, or if you'd like me to compare anything else between UK and France, there's a lot of differences. France is really weird and so's the UK. Anyway, I will see you in another video, hopefully. If you thought this video was really boring, then I'm sorry. I will try to make it interesting in editing. And I hope the video quality is okay. It's getting kind of dark. It's really hard to film in winter. I'm getting a ring light for Christmas from my mum, but I haven't got it yet. So right now it's just like the regular light in my room, and it's getting really dark really early. Like right now it may look like it's 7 o'clock in the evening. It's 4 o'clock. That is it for today. And if you want to watch another one of my videos, then you can click here. If you want to subscribe to my channel, feel free to click here on the little oversplit person. And always remember, you are strong, you are beautiful, and you can be flexible too. See you in the next one. Bye!